Hey guys, welcome to this little interview tonight. I've been checking in and dropping in with the speakers from our Awaken event, and it's really fun connecting with Sarah. It always is, but I thought we'd jump on and share a little bit about what she's about, and I wanted to see how often if there's a thread or a conversation speakers are really keen for. But when I was connecting with Sarah, she was like, "No, you can ask me whatever you want," and I'm like, "Oh yes," because she has so much depth and range and variety in what she shares about, and like her capacity of knowledge and the range around physical healing, emotional, energetic, a lot of the weird and woo-woo and stuff. So just adding Sarah now. Hopefully we get our Facebook Magic Land working and can start this convo really soon. So, hey, Sarah, how are
Yeah,
you?
good. How are you?
I'm good. Let us know if the sound's okay, guys, and everything's all good. Or if there's any issues, that'd be cool. But hopefully we get a few people on. I do have weird lighting, but it's all good. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Just been working. How are you?
I've been good. I've been writing. A little bit spaced out, I have to admit. When
That's
you
okay.
go on a bit of a buzz and you're like, oh, I'm a little bit too high.
Yeah.
But I'm coming back into land. So I was thinking about what I want to talk to you about, and I thought I'd start with the simple question, right?
Sure.
Which is not simple, but it is. Which is what is it that breaks your heart in the world?
At the moment,
Mm.
um, the underlying common thread is um, people not being treated with sovereignty and respect, and the human body being not respected.
Mm.
So human sovereignty, but more in the areas of health is a big one for me at the moment.
Okay. And so how do you see that play out? Like, what does that look like?
Um, well, I work one on one with a lot of people, and the amount of trauma that comes from just the lack of acknowledgement of the human body and being able, people not really knowing their rights with their own body and knowing that they
Yeah.
can ask questions and knowing that they can say no is a big one. I know within my own experience when I've had to be rushed in for certain things and I've had things play out, and just that you kind of have to check out energetically for whatever to happen, and then you kind of have to deal with the results of that after. But I
Mm.
feel we're at a point within ourselves and with this world where we shouldn't have to be doing that.
Okay. So it's particularly like our hospitals and like a lot of the default settings of how practitioners work and treat patients.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is nothing against any doctors, surgeons, nurses. I have a lot of them as clients, and
Yeah.
I won't ever completely understand from their perspective because I'm not living that life. But
Mm.
I do, and they do the best that they can. They're obviously completely overworked, not supported enough from the human side as well.
Mm.
Um, Especially nurses. When I have nurses come in, like, get on the table, relax. Let's work on your feet. Let's get you relaxed. And um, funny enough, I've recently in my work, I've been seeing quite a lot of professionals coming in where their body is actually having to start to go through the process of what they've had to do in life threatening situations just because we don't have access to basically the best technology that this world actually has on offer right now within our
Yeah.
medical systems, within our hospitals, within our GP settings, within we're very behind, especially in Australia. We're very behind with our scanning systems, and compared to, say, some countries in Europe where it doesn't have to be as invasive, less side effects, those types of things.
Mm. And that's without even asking about the question about our energetic technology and what's capable in terms of our healing and our potentiality.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
how do you have those conversations with people that are in health professions?
Um,
Are they
First
all
and foremost,
down for the woo woo and the magic, or are they like still on the edge?
it's the acknowledgement that everything is magic and it's just translated in different ways.
Yeah,
So, something that seems really mundane and really world and really not weird, um, it is weird.
yeah,
And it brings that acknowledgement and that magic to every aspect of their life.
yeah,
Surgeons, especially, for example, they're so used to being in that frame and having to put things in different boxes that then also there is that disconnect with the magic that they're actually being able to do.
mm,
So it comes across with the language, and words are very powerful, and especially with an intention of love and support, and belonging and coming home,
mm.
words can be very, very powerful. So you don't have to talk about the stars, and you don't have to talk about anything that's outside of them. It's reminding them of the very advanced technology that we actually have within our bodies, within ourselves, and reminding them of their magic.
Yeah. I actually earlier you were talking about it doesn't have to get weird. I was like, what's a weird conversation for you? Because
I've seen a lot.
I was like, I wonder what's actually in the category of what you would call weird.
I feel like commenting about the weather is weird. It's like those conversations are weird for me, and
Yeah.
clearly an avoidance of something. But I I don't know. I've seen a lot of stuff. I have a very incredible skill set of being able to hold space for, especially when people are starting to wake up and people are starting to see crazy things, and people are having these experiences where um, time stops, or they've done something and something has happened, and I've actually seen a lot of stuff, so I can hold that container where it's completely normal, and then they realize that, oh, this is okay. It's like, yeah, let's go further. Let's
You're
go a
not
little
going
bit.
crazy. You're not going crazy.
Yeah, and it's being able to hold those frames of
Mm.
you're not crazy, and
Mm.
everything you're experiencing is your world, and it's completely okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I was thinking about it the other day. I've been working with people for so long in I don't actually I don't sit and meditate. Um, when I'm working with people, I can't have thought, and I work with people sometimes 2 or 3 hours at a time for like
Mm.
12 hours. So I'm very used to holding that space between space so that whatever needs to happen can happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I've been in that state for a really long time. So oscillating between the 2 and 3 and thousands is actually quite easy, because I've pushed my framework out to be able to hold that,
Yeah.
which is just practice. Like anyone can do this. It's just putting in the hours, putting in the time,
Yeah.
and I'm very lucky that it's actually my job.
Yeah. So having spent that long working with people,
Yep.
what's what are some of the biggest problems like across the board? You're like, if you're like sitting there diagnosing, not that we really want to do that, but like the biggest
Mm.
problem in humanity is what is it?
From an energetic perspective or a physical
Yeah.
perspective? From a
Well,
physical. perspective, it's definitely stress.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, it is stress. And the denial of stress, which always baffles me. They're like, their veins are popping out. They're like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine. You're like, okay. Oh. Um, from a collective consciousness perspective at the moment, um, we are starting to uncover our sense of self and our identity, and that is starting to crumble. And the land and the earth has been preparing us and preparing itself for this for a really long time. So when everything hits the fan and everything falls apart, we will be held. We just have to have eyes open to see that. And so that's what I'm kind of experiencing and seeing at the moment with people, is that it's the sense of self is falling apart, and it usually comes up as relationship problems or work problems or where is my energy, or like it comes up with wherever is the biggest trigger point for us at the moment.
Yeah. And I really hear you when you're talking about that identity collapse, because at an individual level, like I'm seeing that as well, where what they used to do or define themselves through is
Yeah,
no longer meaningful, or like there's something where they're like, they suddenly see it and they're like, I can't be part of this. And I'm like, it seems quite sudden for them, but it's been a
yeah,
long time coming in terms
yeah,
of that awareness and that real discernment about their vibration and the vibrational match for, like,
yeah,
yeah. Um, but the other question I'm really seeing rising too is and this is again, it's been a while, but is the who are we? Like
yeah,
that identity at a group level of, am I part of that? Do I stand for that conversation, or am I here for something else? And what is
yeah.
that? So
Yeah, definitely. And it's so much more focused on a community base and a tribal collective base at the moment.
yeah,
Whereas for the 10, 20 years, I've been on the fringes of the only people talking about weird and wonderful things was in the psychic realms. So I've been on the outskirts of that for such a long time and seeing how that all played out and is playing out. Um, so yeah, it's a really interesting time because we can't go outside of ourselves anymore. And we can look to the stars and we can, you know, call on all of these aspects of ourselves from past, from future, from all of this. Um, but basically, the sanest way to get through this period is to have your feet on the ground while this big, beautiful ball of mass goes through space.
yeah,
And it's very easy to get distracted right now. It's very easy to buy into other people's worlds when we have to be buying into our own right now.
yeah.
So yeah, that's how I'm seeing that.
Cool. Um, and 100% that us connecting to the earth and being part of her grid and really cultivating our own unique connection to the earth is so important. Like that's specifically what I've really asked Sarah to speak on at the Awaken event. So pretty much the earth connection, our rootedness inside our ancestral lines, and here on this beautiful planet. Is there anything more you want to share about that now? Or do you want to save a bit of it more for the weekend? Because I know you're going to go probably deeper
I'm
in
going to
front of a live audience, but
yeah, I'm feeling into what I'm going to be talking about, and it's going to be interesting and fun.
yeah.
Um,
Because I know also with the activation, you're saying that comes through like completely crafted for each room you're in with that group of
yeah,
people. Yeah. So which is
absolutely.
awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, because I call them like meetings. Um, you know why?
Uh,
Um,
I do know why.
and it's kind of like we have this. It's kind of like my support crew and everyone else's support crew, including their ancestors, the land that they're born onto, every land that they've walked on with their physical body, everyone kind of comes together in this big space, and we have this conversation, and I'm just the translator.
Yeah.
And so everything that is said and everything and everywhere that we go and every description is perfectly crafted so that every single person can basically feel connection, feel a belonging with the earth, and whatever intention is basically the best for the group that it's in. And sometimes people just need to relax, so we get to hang out with, be in water and be able to activate the water within our body so that we can be able to clear and move through. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Can you hear that? Or that's just mine?
That's just yours.
Okay, all good.
You've got a Facebook ghost?
I've got a Facebook ghost. It's us from the beginning, so we're time traveling. So yeah, it's basically crafted for the group, and it's already happened, and we're just kind of catching up here.
Awesome. So one of the words you used there really stood out for me. Actually, there was two, but I'll come back to the second one in a moment, which is around clearing. Because I know you've just finished like a full spring clean, energetic spring clean with your group, and you're telling me how awesome it was.
It
Um,
was
and I just realized like that energy of spring cleaning our house or wardrobes or whatever, like the energetic layers of that are so deep. How did that go?
it surprised the shit out of me. I didn't realize how it was going to be. We had our kind of review last night just to check in, and
Yeah.
they all wanted to say goodbye to each other as well because they'd gotten really close over the 4 weeks. It was really sweet. And we had people from all over the world and join in, and we had what surprised me the most was the basics that I learned through talking to the elements and working with essences, little things that I was taught how to do. They didn't know how to, like, you just assume that people know how to do stuff because they can talk certain words and they can work in certain arenas. But back to basics and working with what you already have, that was the focus. So I got them to make their own crafted oil from stuff that could only find within their house and in the garden of their house. It was things like that to bring that practicality back, and so they don't have to go and get heaps of stuff to, work with what you already have on the land that you're on. And, the shower meditation was something that they really got a lot out of. Things, and I actually made them have showers morning and night. And that really helped them not to take their day into the night and their night into the day, which was huge. They didn't have to pick up their phone in the morning and start scrolling, which they weren't allowed to anyway. That was part of the and sometimes if they didn't do their homework, they got extra homework, so they all did their homework. But yeah, implementing the little.
You're like full school teacher, Sarah. It's like
It was awesome, but they got so much out of it, and their sensitivities got stronger. Their connection with water shocked so many of them, because we have showers every day and we're in water every day, but we're not actually connecting with the water. And by having that respect and that acknowledgement, brought such activation and awakening within their own water, within their own bodies and consciousness, that they were. Some of them were having some pretty trippy showers. It's like, you don't actually need to go outside of what you're already doing. You have it all within your actual routine. You have it all. And it was pretty awesome. The last couple of weeks I've just been seeing my Facebook get flooded with like things they're all selling from their house. Like on my Facebook because they all had to clear out their houses.
Yeah.
They had to clear out their technology, and they didn't realize how much of an impact the physical act of clearing was going to clear out their heads.
Awesome.
So it brought a lot of clarity. It was
That's
really,
so good. It's so good. And oh gosh, there's like two ideas in there, but one was that like definitely the basics. It's how the intention that we can bring to the things that we can do every
yeah,
day. But secondly, that there's so many people using spiritual language and sort of jumping into practices halfway through that it's
yeah,
really easy to miss certain domains. And so when someone can come along and go, here are the fundamentals of how to clear and the intentionality behind it and why and how and all the domains of your life that you can bring this kind of process to, it's really cool. When I saw that program you put out, I was like, fuck yes, it's just perfectly timed because
yeah,
there's
well,
some things that are they're always going to be relevant in that
yeah,
sense, and that if you don't actually get a training in it because you think it's so obvious, there's so much possibility you miss. But the
yeah,
other word
definitely.
that stood out to me a little bit before was I don't know the exact word, but I know the idea. I know the question. The question is coming back to what's going on in the collective consciousness and where people are at. And this question of clearing is, and I know you've seen a lot, so I'm putting that one out there. I know you've seen a lot.
Yeah.
What kind of like implants or impositions or issues have you seen in people that are now getting ready to be removed? Like they're part of this shift and change. What's ready to move?
The veil's being lifted.
Cool.
Uh, and that means we're going to have to see the consequences of our actions without any forward thinking and short term solutions. And that goes for internally, externally. The veil is being lifted.
Yeah.
That's the
So
easiest
what
way I can say that.
what does that show up like in someone's life or in their body or in their field?
Um, like, for example, someone will get headaches and they always have a Panadol, but then it doesn't work very well, or they start having reactions to things that always worked, but then all of a sudden aren't because the body is going, no, no, it's time to deal with this. You need to see something, and this is your symptom. This is your wake up call.
Yeah.
And it comes in all different ways. Um, I don't know if I should be saying this on a live or not, but I've been
We're all
seeing a lot
good.
of women coming to me, who are going through the IVF process and having to see what the repercussions of, being on hormone balancing drugs have done in their body for decades, those
Yeah.
types of things. Um, Basically, our bodies are going to start getting very loud,
Yeah.
and that shows up with heightened stress, heightened symptoms, heightened dis-ease, but it's not really heightening. It's just that our veil of perceiving
Yeah.
ourselves is falling away.
Yeah. So the things we would sort of put between us and the reality of those experiences or the reality of those limitations, blocks, challenges, impositions,
Yeah,
implants, interferences is
yeah,
actually going. So we're not going to be able to suppress and avoid and block it out in the same way.
yeah. And this is not going to be for everyone. There's going to be
No.
a big chunk of the world that a big bunch of people. Sorry, I'm still hearing the delay.
It's okay.
There's going to be a big bunch of people that are going to be able to continue in a way without bringing that awareness. But then you've got this huge bulldozing effect of younger people and people who are switched on, really pushing that awareness through the physical outside world, which is going to have a ripple effect on the inside.
Yeah.
We are the
Um,
change we've been waiting for.
yeah. And it's interesting you did mention about like the kinds of women and those experiences that you've mentioned. It's actually
Yeah,
something I've been seeing and working with for a while is specifically patterns around women, interference with women.
yeah,
So generally, and then specifically around fertility, around, feminine expression, around sexuality and those
yeah,
kind of things.
yeah,
So, and I know you can go into some communities and it's like this has been rising a long time. What does
yeah.
that look like that when that comes to light across the collective in
Um,
this way?
when women are starting to get more awareness of their physical body and what it can do, and what is that
Yeah,
what you mean?
yeah, like in this time when our veils lifted and we start to really see that. What
We
be
see how, well, for females, for example, females see how they've been creating. Females see the underlying subconscious operating systems that they've been working with to create within this world. Women create, women hold it within themselves and birth it. That's how we're designed. Um, so there's going to be a very big shift in power, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be positive or negative. Um, just more awareness, and I see a lot more women not allowing certain things into their space.
So in terms of boundaries
Yeah,
and clarity and being specific about your requests and what you want.
yeah,
So what
yeah,
do I want to create and more precision, I suppose.
yeah.
Hmm.
Because no one knows what they're doing. Like, no one's ever really known what they're doing. They're just going from reactional states to the next reactional states, and problem solving with whatever they've been given.
Yeah.
Um, no one's really thinking forward, um, and that is going to be a big shift.
Yeah. And I think even with those reaction states, as you're saying, it's like if you're muting half the feedback or like you're half that feedback of your environment's being suppressed, so you're
Yeah,
not ever really present with it. So I think it's like for a lot of people, it might seem to feel a lot worse before it gets better. That's kind
yeah,
of a nutshell of what you're saying. It might look a lot worse.
yeah.
Um, okay, that was pretty cool. My next, probably final question is, what do you think the next 10 years is going to bring for us? Next decade? Because we're on
I
the
don't know.
edge of 2020. We've got a whole new era emerging, and
Yeah.
hmm,
Well, I mean, at the moment, I don't know what I'm doing next week, because things are changing so much that it's kind of like, all right, just things are making behind the scenes. We're just making these little adjustments for ourselves to make our lives as easy as possible, I feel. And that might not look very easy right now, but I feel like we're behind the scenes with ourselves trying to navigate it so that it's as easy as possible for us to live. Um, it's
can
kind
I
of
can
like,
I share how I see that
yeah,
one, if that
yeah,
helps?
yeah, yeah,
So it's like it feels like some of the really big pieces
mm-hmm.
in our future timeline have dropped in, whether we know them or not,
Yeah,
right? And right now we're doing the like gift wrapping or the like fine tuning to actually move into alignment with them. Like we're course correcting a little to move
yeah,
into alignment with them, but that we didn't know what they were for a while. That there
yeah,
was this sense of uncertainty, but now that's starting to drop in. And I've spoken to quite a few people who didn't have, as you said, not quite didn't know what they're doing next week, but didn't have a clue where they were going, and that in the
yeah,
last few months that started to drop in. It's another layer of the veil lifting, I think, is sort of
yeah,
that visually visualizing the future. Like that clarity is happening. It's starting to happen,
yeah.
in a sense.
I feel
Hmm.
that too. Um, and I feel like we're kind of still in a holding state, in a block state, until there's enough awareness within the collective so
Yeah.
that we can actually push through this section. But I feel like our biggest blocks, our biggest block at the moment, in a way, is that as all this stuff is clearing and being brought up to the surface, there also has to be a massive amount of love given to everything that we've created. There has to be a massive love given to everything that so many people, when it's brought into our awareness, that it looks like it's really bad for us or it's doing harm to us, like EMFs and phones and all that kind of stuff. There's a massive element within humanity where we have to actually show a lot of love and feel a lot of love for everything that we have created.
Yeah.
And if we're able to do that, because we give life to everything that is in this world, we experience the giving of life to everything in this world that we have created. And I feel like in the future, it'll be a really beautiful marriage between us and nature. And hopefully it's a symbiotic relationship. We just have to get through some really old stuff to get to there.
Yeah.
And so it is going to look really clunky and like cold and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But we have to push through this section because everything that we create does come from nature. We just put our spin on it, but it's a misdirected spin most of the time. And we're in that process of bringing it back to nature. So being able to use our creative force to work with nature.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. And I suppose the way I look at that is that the work I've done in terms of family systems and sort of healing the field of consciousness of a group is that part of the healing is to include the whole story, even the parts we don't like. So to honor the people that were what we could look at as perpetrators or people that caused pain, or to honor the stories of people that really suffered, that are painful or difficult to look at, is that same sort of sense of, you're saying, as a human collective, we need to honor and include the parts of our creations that have been, detrimental or caused suffering, or that we were really unknowing to the impact of at the time, or we weren't into that grounded awareness of self. Like even looking at that from our social systems, our governments, the way things are set up is not in the expression of, for most people I know at least, their values or what they want to see in the world. But it's part of us to forgive and own that to be able to heal it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or maybe it's just revolution and the whole thing collapses and we start again.
And we start again, which, could happen. And, I'm not about trying to create any more separation.
Yeah.
And if you keep pushing the shadow further and further into the darkness within itself, you're creating a child that wasn't loved. You're creating a piece of our experience that is very far from love.
Yeah.
And so we're at a point where we're really able to see all of what we're creating, and how do we bring that back into a holistic, unified field, basically.
Yeah. That every piece gets to come home.
Yeah, which I know is what you work with so much as well.
Yeah. It's and this is something I love in our talks, is we're doing the same work but in such different contexts. Like mine is often in events and with groups and in different spaces, and yours is a lot through your clients and your programs, but it's the same song that's singing us. For me, I'd say we win when we all win. And I don't mean that as a necessarily humans hanging out. I mean that at a soul consciousness level, is that if each soul expression cannot find its way home to love, then we as a universe, soul, infinite expression, we haven't won. Like we only win when everyone can get back home. And that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Any final words to gift us with on this magical night?
Um, no, I'm going to leave it for the event.
That sounds pretty cool. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
that. Um, the only thing I guess I felt it as soon as I finished saying that last sentence, which is that we are in the time where we know we have won. Like we
Yeah.
do know we are living in a timeline where we do all make it home to love. So we don't know what that looks like or the pathway forward, but we know we're in a timeline based on the love and of everything coming back to love. Um, and
Yeah.
that is what we see. So
Yeah.
there's not a question of that anymore. Is that we might not make it? It's just the how, and so we get to be an experiencing of that, which
Yeah. And I've spoken to a lot of people who've been having really trippy dreams lately, and I even did a video about it the other day. And I had this really awesome dream a couple of months ago that I woke up and it really shook me, where I experienced an alternate reality of of a big part of that world basically getting reset or experiencing a lot of endings, finals coming together, parts of ourselves coming to a beautiful end of that cycle. And
yeah,
I woke up and I was so relieved to like wake up here. And I was like, oh wow. And I look over at my son and my partner and I'm like, oh, I'm so happy right now. Um, and it really hit me that as much as it looks chaotic and as much as there's so much shit to get through still and there's so much happening here and it seems so slow but also so fast but so slow, but we are in the best timeline for whatever we need to be doing here, and there was no doubt in my mind.
no
And
doubt at
since
all.
I had a few other dreams where I've jumped into other timelines, with similar players but different forms, different relationships. One decision, like a decision sparking a different timeline, and at that time I knew that there was a split in times, but I was on this one. Going back to there and seeing what was going to happen on the other timeline, and just being like, oh, thank God, I'm here. Like, thank goodness I'm here. Like, I'm so
Yeah,
happy that as much as there's struggles and as much as it can feel really fucked up sometimes,
yeah,
this is the best version right now.
it is. And I I've actually spent quite a bit of time over this last 12 months, and the best way to describe it, and it's shaken me, and I don't think I've actually shared about it at all, let alone in the live, but is it's like it's been going back through the timelines that we're closing because we
Yeah,
don't need them anymore, and actually healing the traumas of those lines, and that there's a great many people um, like are not aware of that, but that's actually a level of the trauma that's rising in the collective, and it's rising for release. It's not rising because we're so difficult. That's why our sensitivity is activating, and that we're actually feeling more, is that we're
yeah,
releasing all those ways that we chose not to go.
yeah.
So it's there's actually a gorgeous video, and it's like we are from the future, if you
Uh-huh.
get to go look at it, that. And there's this one where it's like there's all these timelines where they're sprinting through the forest, and you see all the ones where they're running into the trees, and
Yeah,
it's like ouch, ouch, ouch. What we're doing is we're releasing until they're just holding the hope of the one pathway that makes it,
yeah,
right? It's so we found the pathway that makes it, but we're actually releasing the pain of the times we hit the tree,
yeah,
in a sense, and it like I get that sense sometimes too. So I found that was just a really beautiful metaphor for it. But seeing those times and then letting them go, and sometimes they, like as your dreams say, they do need to come back and be witnessed before we can let them go,
yeah,
because there's a lot also happened in those timelines that mattered to us.
yeah, definitely.
So
And yeah, I remember like when I was first kind of, you know, starting to notice things, and I had this drive of like, I don't want to miss anything. I want to know everything. I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to, you know, um, I want to know everything about everything right now.
Oh, fuck.
And it split. I could feel the two sides of my hemispheres. I could feel them splitting, and it was so excruciating and painful. And then I was like, "Oh no, no! Whatever I need, I'll take, and anything else, like if it needs to drop in, sure. If it doesn't, totally fine. Like, but it took a
Yeah.
while, a good year of like, no, I need to know everything now. I need to know everything now. If I don't, then like I'm not going to know. But that was just my head trying to grasp a sense of reality in a completely ever-changing landscape, which it
Yeah.
doesn't can't.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
had my version of that, which is a little bit of that. It's a little bit of ego, thinking that if we get it pinned down and we know it, then
yeah,
like that's important. But I think it's also a little bit of the way our system brings you up, that to learn stuff you need to know it all properly, and then you know everything,
yeah,
and then you're good enough, right? So I think it's a bit of those. But this was for, a few years going back. I actually went into some of my very first medicine ceremonies with the intention of, I want to see everything I'm doing. I want to see the whole of my power and everything I'm doing. Don't ever
yeah,
set that intention, is my only feedback for you. Just don't set that one, because you only need to see what you need to see.
yeah,
Like there are worlds upon worlds, and that we're letting a lot of them go. You don't need to see them, is all I'll say. Is like, see enough to be what's needed to let something go, and then keep
yeah.
choosing that future that you're on.
And
So
we've conditioned ourselves very well to accept this sense of self in each other.
yeah.
And when you start to see those veils really lift, and you start to see and to feel and to hear, like it's really confronting and overwhelming until you can get used to it. So you give it back to yourself in little increments until you have to feel safe and you have to feel comfortable within this experience. And if you're ever in a situation where someone's trying to rush you through it, or you're being pressured into going into parts that you're not ready for, then fucking walk out, because that's not in your sovereignty and not in your best interest at that time.
Yeah. I guess this is so interesting, because part of what I'm getting called to create and work on at the moment is a program around surviving the dark night, and
Yeah,
it's pretty much all it's on that. But it's part of it is that your way is the way you're meant to go.
yeah,
Like, it's not that you fucked up or it's bad or that something is off course. That is the way you're meant to go. You're meant to have a particular initiation. You're meant to cultivate certain depths. You are meant to go into certain darknesses or places to heal them. You are not off track in that. And you're not unsupported, and you're not Louise has got whips by accident. But it's that it's that we are never as alone as we think we are,
yeah.
right?
We have our own back.
We have our own back, and then we have all our support crew have our back. Like
Yeah,
it's fucking, you're solid, and that we are opening completely new conversations. So those places,
yeah,
those experiences, those intensities do not look like what nearly anyone will tell you they should look like, or what normal looks like, or what to expect. It's like, what to expect is, I don't know, because it's
yeah,
yours. It's yours. But whatever it is okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
some of those real difficult or challenging or intense or unusual experiences, our
Mm-hmm.
system and our culture does not do the roadmap very well at all. Just so you know, and
Yeah,
we've been trained to also validate and seek for an expert consciousness, that, oh, there'll be someone else with the answer.
I'm writing a blog about that right now. Yes,
So
like just because they wear a white coat doesn't mean they know the best. That they don't know your system. You know
yeah,
your system. You just have to turn on your ears to hear it.
yeah. And there's a lot we can learn when we listen to each other, but we
Yeah,
want to cultivate systems of support and healing and medical professions and all that support that can hear us and
yeah,
include us and our experiences on the way. So I'm not anti the system either. I do a lot of work and training in the mental health
yeah,
system. And for me, it's been very much around that. How do we
absolutely.
hear each other? But
Yeah.
well, finish on a bang. That was awesome.
For more, come on Saturday.
I know. Well, I don't even know where we'll get to on Saturday. Probably not half of this. We'll stick with the earth and our. Actually, I don't know where you're going to go. We opened it right. We opened it up quite a bit. Hey.
I said ask me anything, and that's where it went.
It was. I really love this talk. I really did.
Yeah, so do I.
It's really cool. Well, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Talk soon, and I'll see you Saturday. Hopefully, we'll
Yes.
see some of the rest of you guys on Saturday. And if not, would also love to hear, obviously, comments, thoughts on this post. I saw a bunch of you guys commenting or sharing or tagging, but yeah, let us know what you liked or what you want to hear more of, because this was fun.
Yeah. Awesome.
Talk soon then. Bye.
Bye.